How far will an employee go to prove a point? Hey, holidays are every day. Nope, that was too weird. Hey, holidays are every day? Who cares how I say it? Hey, holidays every day, and today's holiday is National Activity Professionals Day. It is also actually National Activities Professional Week, January 18th through January 22nd, but National Activity Professionals Day is today, January 22nd. This day is the most important day if you are an employer. I don't know if I have any employers watching the show, but if you are, welcome. Today is the most important day for you to acknowledge your employees and the goods that they do for you. And I'm going to celebrate this holiday personally, not as an employer because I'm not, but as a person who tells other people's stories. What? I'm going to tell you guys some crazy stories about employees doing crazy or weird things. Let's get right to it. Okay, so this first story starts off with a crazy woman. That's how every great story starts off. She had a son who was 16 years old, and one day she decided, I think my son needs some sexual experience. That's what she did. She woke up, she said that, and then she woke her son up and said that to her son. So anyway, she goes into work and asks one of her fellow coworkers, an accountant, and says, hey, can you have sex with my son? By the way, this accountant that she asked that to is 60 years old. She replied with, I'm married and not interested. Out of all the problems with that, that's what you're gonna leave with? I'm married and not interested. I mean, you're 60, he's 16, you're just a co-worker. Like, there's so many, you know what? That's probably why she left it at that, because she was like, I don't want to get into it. Just, I'm married and I'm not interested. Okay, second story. Somebody had a coworker who would go around stealing everybody's milk. Now, can I just point out, first of all, that the guy that wrote this story makes it sound like everybody at this job brings milk. Like, is that something, does he work for like a milking company or something? Like, why does it, like if it was water or soda, I feel like that's a common thing to bring. I feel like that's what a lot of people bring to work. But milk? I don't know. Anyway, so there was this guy who'd go around stealing everybody's milk. Gotta have milk to keep your bones strong, right? The person telling this story caught on. He was fed up with it. He was like, you get your own milk. So what he did was one day he had half a thing of milk. I don't know if it was a carton or a glass or I don't know, probably a carton. Anyway, he peed in it. He peed in his milk, put it back in, shook it up, put it back in the fridge, and all he knows to this day is whoever that person was stealing the milk doesn't do it anymore. End of story. This sounds like a great idea, like a great prank, it's funny. But me personally, I'd be the one to piss in the milk, put it in the fridge, forget about it, later want some milk, and drink my own piss. There was this guy who worked at a place called Fry's. That's totally unimportant, but he had a coworker. He forgot the name of the person, so he called her Beth in the story, so that's what we're gonna call her. And Beth was incredibly annoying to the other employees and to the customers. She was also a pathological liar, and because of all this, she was eventually fired for it. Then one day, she came back, just as a customer, I guess, with a present. An apology present for the manager. It was a purple present wrapped in, it was actually wrapped in purple wrapping paper and had a white ribbon. Placed it on the manager's desk and walked out. That's how you show an apology to a manager. You gotta have a conversation with the guy. I'm sorry for what happened. Are you trying to get back your job or something? Nope, just place present. She's out. So that seems suspicious right there. Then the manager notices the present smells like it was doused in a gallon of perfume. Suspicious enough to just put it aside? No. He still opened it up, and when he opened it up, a giant thing of just sitting in it. I don't know what he did with it. It doesn't say. But if you want to go read the comments, there's a guy in the comments who gets very in detail about like how somebody in a box like that. Like, he's like, how do they do it? Do they like pop a squat? And he gets all in detail. So if you want to read that, go ahead. The link's in the description. He also gets in depth about like the perfect consistency of to leave for somebody. Again, if you want to read that, that's your own business. All right, story number 4, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but there's only going to be 5, so this is the second to last one. There was this guy who worked as a production manager at a graphics shop, and he had a coworker who was on the night shift, and one day, he was real pissed at the owner, so he decided to take down all of the ceiling tiles. I don't know if he took down all of them and then on all of them, or if you took down one at a time and on. How many do you have? I never processed this, but like, you just plop one back up. Plop, like, can you control your shit that much? Anyway, so he on the ceiling tiles, he put them back up, and the odor started to just take over the whole place. And they could not find the smell. I mean, I'm talking the next day. They could not find the smell for weeks. Now, this is where I draw the line. You're gonna tell me you couldn't find the smell for weeks? I mean, I could understand a couple of days, but I mean, after a couple of days, I'd be like, I'd be calling up the police, being like, my place is smelling like this. We cannot take it anymore. You gotta bring some like canines and sniff this stuff down. But after a couple of weeks, they did find it, and as the writer describes, we finally discovered his high altitude minefield. Couldn't have described that better. And the owner says, you know what? I don't pay you guys enough to take care of this. No pun intended. Or maybe there's a pun intended. I didn't say it. The owner said it. You think he had a pun intended? Let me know down in the comments below. The very nice owner said that, and then he got a ladder himself and a face mask, rubber gloves, and a bucket, and he cleaned it up himself. Good call. Don't get your employees to do anything for you that you wouldn't do yourself.
Don't get your employees to do anything for you that you wouldn't do yourself.
All right, last story. It's about a shipping manager who worked for a big company. That's all he said about it. But anyway, he had an ex-Russian army guy as one of his workers. One day, this guy didn't show up. He didn't call, didn't anything. The next day, he calls. And he says he's at the hospital. He also sounds high for some reason, but that's totally doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the story. So anyway, after work, the manager goes to the hospital to see how he's doing because, you know, they are friends. You know, we don't have to be just co-workers, people. So he goes to the hospital, meets up with him, notices his whole right side is black. And he's, you know, there's serious bruising. He's got a broken arm, a broken leg. He's like, what happened? So the army guy tells him the story. He says, I was at a party having an argument with one of my friends about how my friend was saying how I never go through with anything. And then I started saying, you know, if I were to say I'm gonna jump out that window, I'd go do it. And he's like, pfft. His friend goes, you wouldn't dare. And I think you know where this is going. The Russian guy jumped out the window in an apartment building on the 5th floor. I'm acting like this is crazy. This isn't crazy. Anybody would do that to prove a point. I'd jump out a window to prove a point. Don't ask me to prove it though. Anyway, he spent a month in the hospital, and later he ended up quitting the job, and the manager didn't hear from him again until, I quote, until a year later, he called me on the phone all drunk, telling me I was Jesus. That really sounds like something I would make up. I did not make that up. Maybe the guy who wrote the story made it up, but I didn't make it up. Links in the description. Thanks for watching this episode. That's it. Thanks for watching this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Check out my other YouTube channels. Hit the subscribe button most importantly. And if you didn't see the previous video, click on previous video. And if you want to see the next video, when it comes out, click next video. And that's it. If you're an employer, do you have any weird or crazy employee stories or coworker stories? Let me know in the comment section below.